they are making a noise all the time. All the time. They're whining, they're yelping, just one yelp, notes. My throat's messed up. That wasn't very good. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Just one little note. And it's not loud, but man, that gobbler in the spring when he's listening for it, he can hear that 200 yards. I'm telling you, it's crazy. You talk to me about stories and stuff like that. When I was 13 or 14 years old, we had started, it had started the rifle hunting, that kind of stuff. And I was in a bottom in Sumter County. And there was an uprooted tree. And I was deer hunting. And I told Dad, I said, I'm going to go over there and sit in that bottom. You can see good. And, anyway, so I go over there and I get hid up in the upper end of the tree, not by the roots, because I was scared I couldn't see around, But anyway, I got in there and got backed up in it. Man, it was good. I'm sitting there, just deer hunting, just hanging out, looking around, and I kept hearing something. I couldn't tell what it was. And I looked, and here come a pile of hens. And they're coming, and I start just sinking down, and they came right by me, and I'm telling you, it was a game changer. I learned more in that probably 20 minutes of them feeding, walking by that tree, all the little, all of that, all the little purrs and little clucks and little whines, and they, all of that, and that stuck in my head. I can go to school and I hear the teacher tell me this and I'd forget it as soon as I walked out the door, but that stuck with me. I mean, I'll never forget that. And I thought, they are making a noise all the time. All the time. They're whining, they're yelping, just one yelp, notes. My throat's messed up. That wasn't very good. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Just one little note. And it's not loud, but man, that gobbler in the spring when he's listening for it, he can hear that 200 yards. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Had a guy with me 3 or 4 years ago, buddy of mine, go to church with him. Kind of just got into turkey hunting. And we had this turkey, I was yipping to him, and he had been hunting a lot in this club, and he'd gobble, but he'd go the other way. And we got in there, and he got to gobbling at me, and I was yipping a little more than I probably should have. And anyway, he waited a while, heard an owl hoot, and he gobbled, and I said, he gone. And a train came by. I said, come on, let's get up. So we made a little distance. I said, he's going to keep walking. We got up there, and the train went by. I crowed, pow, he gobbled. I said, man, that dude, he's traveling, And we went way around there, and we got where I thought maybe he stopped somewhere. There's a road up there not far. Maybe he stopped. I crowed, he gobbled. I said, okay. I said, he stopped right here, I believe. I think he gobbled twice. I made him gobble twice. We eased up there, and it was a place, it was a woods road, but it had been traveled in deer season pretty good with a four-wheeler or something, so it was muddy, wet enough that you could walk without making a sound. Turkey wasn't 150 yards. We eased up there, maybe a hair more. We eased up there, and I said, look, I told him, I said, look, and he didn't walk that quiet. He didn't understand yet how good they could hear. And I told him, I said, look, we can't make a sound. So we eased up there, and we sat down. I got him set up, and I got a box call out, and took it and mashed the side of the box and clucked just super soft. Second cluck, cow. I did that. I said that. And he said, he didn't hear that. He did hear that too. And I'd put my box down. And I mashed on it a little harder, a little quieter, clucked one time. Pow! Put it down. And I said, get your gun up right there. And we had heard a turkey gobble when we were going to this one in this area. That's where he went. Anyway, we get ready. I'm pointed here, he's pointed there, and we see them, and they're coming. And the strutting turkey's in the back, and the other one's coming up through there. Anyway, he comes up there and picks us out. We're not hid that great. If he comes straight, he's dead. But anyway, waiting on that back turkey, that's one I'm going to kill bad. And he's not going to be able to shoot. He couldn't move. So I'm on the turkey. Anyway, I ended up killing the front turkey. I wasn't letting. At that point, I had not killed a turkey that year, and it was, I don't know, end of March, whatever. And I was like, nah, you ain't walking off. He'll just be harder to kill. But anyway, smoked him. So, yes, all those little sounds, they're more important than a loud yelp, in my opinion. You know, that quiet stuff is killer.
So I learned that 2 years ago, hunting a buddy's property, had a group of 8 hens come in to 10 yards from me, maybe, right behind me, kicking around the leaves, feeding for probably an hour. And during that hour, they never stopped making those subtle little vocalizations.
Always making a sound.
Those little whines, those little purrs, those little clucks, like those little 1-2 note little soft yelps. And they're right there. And there's birds gobbling all around. And it got to the point where, like, I couldn't call because I didn't want to spook those birds. I didn't want to spook the hens next to me. But I learned so much in that hour of them hanging out before they kind of drifted off.
Yeah.
Of just those hens never stopped making a sound. And and then we also interviewed a guy, which we talked about a bunch in the last few episodes, Coach Ron Waters. And I think we mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
From West Alabama.
East Alabama.
East Alabama. I think I said West Alabama earlier. East Alabama.
He's dyslexic.
Yeah, I get my cardinal directions mixed up. But he talked a lot about what he calls covert callings, that really soft, subtle calling, and how you can get away with doing it a lot more and still being very realistic and get a bird to come in, especially he hunts a lot. He used to hunt and still does hunt a lot of the national forest.
Right.
And getting these birds to be able to come and seal the deal without having to be super aggressive, loud calling when you don't have to all the time or you don't need to all the time. And I did that last season, and it completely changed my confidence level.
Oh, yeah.
Got my 4 in Alabama. My brother took him out. He got his 4 and 5 days with me on public in Alabama.
Yeah.
All that super soft calling. And it changed my perspective of how well they can hear at a distance. Like you said, 200 yards.
Unbelievable.
And you're calling especially like our ceramic pot call I love to use, at I'd call it like a 20% volume. Clucking and purring, and he would hammer it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like normally, back 4 or 5 years ago, I'd be running at 60, 70% volume.
Yeah, exactly.
Or higher. And it's like I didn't need to do that. But again, you had to have the right conditions. Real high winds, not great for it. But that is great. I'm glad you brought that up, too.
Yeah, it's crazy how good they can. It really is freaky how good they can hear. I mean, it really is. Once you figure that out and believe it, you'll be a better turkey hunter because, number one, you walking, I'm telling you, he's hearing you. It's crazy.
The fact, and you kind of said it earlier, that you got to hunt these turkeys all year, right? When you're hunting that property, you got to hunt them day after day, same turkeys. What are some pieces of wisdom you've picked up over the years on that, where you're trying to not mess up the birds? Like, say you're in a hunting club, 1,500 acres, and you're going to hunt that club this turkey season. You got 40 days or whatever we have here in Alabama to hunt it, where you're being precautious, where you're hunting them and you're trying to kill a bird, but you're also not messing them up, where you're just going to make it harder and harder and harder and harder as the season goes on.
Afternoon hunting is one thing I think a lot of people spook a lot of turkeys, and I think that hurts you. But like you're saying, got to hunt those turkeys. Most everybody, I don't know. There's a good bit of afternoon hunting goes on, but the morning hunting's what we're talking about pretty much. Just don't ever let him know he's being hunted. I see people all the time, just as soon as they stand up and the turkey quit gobbling, in my mind, the turkey, people that I carried before, I'd say, look, they get up and act like, they're walking to Walmart or something, they're stomping, walking. Like, man, dude, be quiet, They said, hey, he's not here. I said, that turkey's right there. He just didn't want to come right now. He didn't go anywhere. What's a turkey got to do? He ain't got anywhere to go. He ain't got to go eat lunch. But, just don't ever let him know he's being hunted. In other words, don't. And some people say, who is it? I can't remember. I can't call his name now. There's some guy up north that says, turkeys don't remember. That's bull crap. A turkey, maybe not up there, but down here, these sapsuckers remember. I'm telling you. You spook that son of a gun a time or two and see if he gobbles the next day or two. You know, something like that. You just don't spook them. Be careful. Always walk quiet. Don't assume that there's no turkey right there just because he didn't gobble. Like you're sitting here, you're owling or crowing or yelping. He didn't gobble. All that means is he didn't gobble. It doesn't mean he's not there. Don't go stomping somewhere else. Ease everywhere, like you think there's a turkey right there. Always be careful. I mean, just, you know, slamming doors, doing stuff. Just be careful. Just be quiet. I mean, he's paying attention. He's got ears, man. I mean, he's got some good ones. And you know, anyway, that's what I think.
Man, if I had $1 for every time I've been on a gobbling turkey and he shuts up and I can't get him to do anything, I'm like, well, I'm just going to walk down there and see where he was at.
Yeah.
And he's standing there.
Yeah.
He was there the whole time. He never left.
I did it.
Yeah.
That's what you asked what some of my learning experience, that was it. You know, I can remember standing, if the timber was right, I could probably take you to the same spot. You know, as a turkey I'd been hunting and this son of a gun shut up and I waited and waited. I thought I was waiting a long time, probably wasn't. Got up, well, I might as well go to the truck. Attaboy, dummy, you know.
Yeah,
I can remember I was in college, I'd go and hunt this spot and work this turkey right there and then leave. And then I'd say, well, I'm going to go back this afternoon. I go back that afternoon, the ground's tore up with scratching. Some guns came in here after I left. I shut up, I left, and they came in here. You know, took me a while to figure out if I just set my butt still and quiet for a little bit, they coming, you know. Yeah. And look, it's hard. It's hard. I get it. Everybody wants to yelp, want to do anything you want to, but man, just sit there and enjoy the sounds and listen for that squirrel barking. Listen to these birds or whatever. Just enjoy being there.
Yeah, that's part of spring turkey, man. And I'll tell you one thing. You kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but one random piece of gear that helped me was a watch.
Yep.
Starting to wear a watch in the woods because I'll get my gun up on my knee and I'll flip my watch around so the face is on the inside of my wrist.
Yep.
And I'll call and I'll be like, okay, it's 12:50 right now. I'm not going to move until 1:25 or something. And I just sit there and look at my watch the whole time. And I'm also not looking at my phone then.
Right.
I'm staying still. But I'm hearing all the little things in the woods, you know, like the woodpecker or the squirrel barking. And Preston Pittman was talking with us about that a couple weeks ago, where he's like, you got to see the woods with your ears, especially when you're turkey hunting.
Yep.
And there's all these subtle little sounds that you're going to hear, like a blue jay fussing at a turkey or a crow, or whatever the case may be. And when you really slow down and start taking that in, you're like, oh wow, I've been missing some stuff for years, years and years on end.